Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session of the PIN conference. My name is Ivan Milivojev, and like we had every year a special guest, last year we had Alex Nightingale, who was working with Chemical Brothers and amazing stories. Today, we have a privilege to speaking with someone who represents one of the most visionary, independent, and culture influential festival in the world, Boom Festival. Please welcome Arthur Mendez, a key figure behind Boom philosophy, sustainability model, community culture, and long-term vision. Arthur, thank you for being here today with us.
Thank you so much.
Okay, to begin, let's ground the audience with the essence of Boom. For those who might be new to the story, how would you describe Boom Festival in your own words?
A place for transformation where we use the power of art and culture, plus with a strong environmental awareness to ignite change inside the people, but also trying to subvert what society is about. So we use the festival grounds and the community aspect of Boom as something that can seed the change for people so that people can be more active in their lives, but at the same time acknowledging that culture is important and the community is the basis for everything.
What initially inspired the core philosophy behind Boom? Like how it started, independence, sustainability, community. Like it's like, as I understand, in 2 years it's going to be 30 years of great celebration. Should we go a little bit on beginning? How was the first edition and how you get together to make it? How you got the idea to make it happen?
Yeah. So, I mean, looking at Boom, it's a bit like when you guys were talking about the student movement. Yes, yes. It was your basis in Exit, and for us, it was about bringing in the psychedelic culture into the festival, which meant at the time in the 90s, Goa trance and the whole psychedelic trance coming from the Goa heritage was what was the main reason for Boom to exist, and it still is. We are a festival that comes from the Goa trance and the psychedelic trance world. The two of the founders, one of them was living in Goa with his mom, this hippie culture. They were living there 6 months a year from 78 to 92.
Wow.
And yeah, and then we were the ones, the kids that were hearing all these stories of the old hippies from Portugal that were living in Goa. And
so you being the keepers of the fire.
Yeah, it was kind of. And we were basically trying to bring in this culture that uses music and freedom and with a message of transcendence into a festival. It is important to say that Boom comes from a circuit of parties that were going on back then in the 90s. So it was not only Boom. There was psychedelic trance parties on a monthly basis in a forest around Portugal, out of Lisbon and then around Portugal from 94 on. And Boom started in 97, and it was always about creating a space where people could be in community with all this psychedelic culture in the nature. And it's important to mention that the whole psychedelic trance movement starts in Goa, in India, where all these outcasts, hippies, punks, industrialists, techno heads, everyone converged. Of course, there was at the very core of this culture comes the hippie culture from the 60s that went into India to find their spiritual awakening, and they were partying in the shores, in the beaches of Goa, and in the forests of Goa from the late 1960s until now, basically. In the beginning, there was psychedelic rock and lots of jam sessions in the beach. By the end of the 70s, with the growth of disco and dance music, the DJs start to appear into these parties, and some of the parties throughout the 80s also started to integrate electronic body music, like industrial music and acid house and others, and that led to the late 80s, early 90s, to the beginning of Goa trance. And from this moment on, the whole culture developed. And these days, when we look at a festival like Boom, It's always very international because it still has this sense that was going on in Goa back then. And it's about creating an immersive experience where people can be in the nature with lots of art, lots of installations, with a huge international crowd, and always with the dance floor as a strong element. One very important part, and I will finish with this, is on our side, the spiritual side of it. We have a huge setup of therapies, yoga, and other cultural spaces where people can not only activate their celebratory part, but also their spiritual and their inner part.
That's so amazing. And thank you for sharing this story. But like for the people here, I want to, for me, even knowing about the boom, I still want to know more. And the thing is it from beginning, every 2 years it's happening? So like, why it's that 1 year break? Like why it's once in 2 years? So that's a model you accepted from beginning?
Yeah, from 98 on, because the production is very tough, but especially the concept that we try to convey is that every year that there is boom, we need to bring something new to the zeitgeist. We need to bring some concept that can give tools for people to navigate better, or at least to have different lenses, different perspectives in the next 2 years. And the reality is that the world is, as we all know, very volatile, very...
Let's say fragile.
Exactly, very fragile, very volatile, very unpredictable. And if we can provide some tools, some lenses, I think we are doing a good job on using festivals as one more toolkit for people to navigate. I don't want to say that what we give is right or wrong. We just want to provide more tools for people to
But that's the
to
model
navigate.
you literally have from early start. Yeah?
Yeah, from early start, for sure.
And what's happening the year when there's no boom?
When we have no boom, we do another event, and we do an event called the Being Gathering, which is kind of a spin-off of Boom. More focus on the well-being, on the yoga, meditation. Where we talk about tools, there we go really deep on tools. With smaller scale, Boom is 45,000 people, 165 countries. The Being is 5,000 people, 50 countries easier. Smaller scale activities. And we also have the Boomland School, which is a project that we have where we do education and workshops in the land of Boom. It's important to mention even another thing that is, as I said at the beginning, Boom is quite close to the sites. It's a site-specific event. It's very common in Psytrance world that nature is fundamental part of the experience. And we have...
So it's they implement part of Boom as well as
exactly,
part of music.
Exactly. So we have our own land. In 2010, we bought our own land. We have 180 hectares.
2007, yeah?
2010. We bought our own land in 2010, and we developed a huge project of reforestation and regeneration, which means that since 2010, we can do all these projects, for instance, having this Boomland School, where we teach people, for instance, how to make Psytrance music production, but also we teach them, we had this course of natural building, which was building with hemp, but we also did permaculture courses and others. So we are always very busy, I would say.
That's super cool. And I guess like buying the land is a game changer because like it's your land and with the permits and other things, it's like actually doing something in your land. It should be easier than like when you're doing somewhere else because there's always the owners or someone else who is complaining and like on the long term, I'm like really impressed what you guys doing there. And for me also, I have like technical question, like on the way, how big is your team and how you survive not doing it 1 year? Like you're doing it once in 2 years, so you have whole big team working on it, but like how you make it feasible, how you make it like money-wise, like that everyone is happy and no one leave, because I know when the Glastonbury happens, it's like 4 years in a row, and then 5th year is a break. And then again, 4 years in a row, then the 5th one is a break. And for those people who are working on there, I know that like that 5th year when it's a break, they're like, oh my God, next year we don't have festival, we need to find something else, what we're gonna work until the festival is back year after.
Yeah, it's a very important question. So in terms of some facts and figures important, Boom is last edition. We have a sold out event. We have no sponsors, we don't advertise, and we did a sold out last time in 48 hours without any kind of lineup announcement. So there was no program when people...
Sorry to interview you, but as I understand, you have your own ambassadors. So,
Yeah.
So you can't buy tickets if it's not go through the ambassador.
I will go into that later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So people bought online in 48 hours, and then we have a database, a network of 50 ambassadors in 48 countries, and they help us also to... we have some in this region as well. They help us also to sell directly to the people that don't want to buy online. So these 45,000 people, it's a limited capacity event. We don't want to sell more, especially because our concept is about a balance between large crowds and the environment. And what we do is we have a very strict business model, because being independent, we need to be very, 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 very sustainable. And means have a very strong vision, of course, and a strong purpose shared by everyone, but at the same time, a financial policy that is very strict and with a very professional team that works with us on that. The way that we do is, when we do the business model of Boom, it has to make money to maintain the structure for the coming 2 years, and then we have another 2 years as a backup plan, financially speaking. That was what was saved us in the COVID times, because we could afford everything. This is one part. The other part is the revenue model. We have revenues from tickets. We have the revenues from the renting of the shops at the festival. We have a small part on the accommodation, for instance, on the TP camp. We also sell tickets for the buzz, and we have a share of 20% on each restaurant of the festival. So we have all of that, and all of that goes to the platform. I would say also that if you want to know more about the way we spend money, we are also one of the few festivals in the world that put all our accounts online. So it's everything there transparently on the website of Boom. And it's very important also for the people, as you said, to feel stability. And that's what we try to give them. So we have, at this moment, around 38 people fully employed. And then depending on the project, sometimes we go into 60, 70, depending. But during Boom, we have 2,500 people working around, 400 volunteers. And what made us big, sustainable financially also is the fact that our team is very converging with our purpose. Everybody stays in the land mandatory 1 week per month, and then there are periods where we live all together 6 months, kind of a commune. But of course, everybody has their own houses, everything, but we spend a lot of big portions of time all together so that we can really do this festival going on. So the financial is important, but for us, it's also how can we benefit the people and also the planet, and in this case, with our land.
Wow. So, it's really impressive what you're talking about, and I think it's one of the unique models in Europe, in regard of major festivals, big ones. Of course, there's some smaller ones happening, but from the big ones, to have the festival with 45,000 people, 165 countries, that's really impressive. And that model with no sponsorship and no VIP areas, no logos, and that's from beginning.
Yeah.
And that's like a Bible of your festival.
Yeah.
And just want to ask you, through independence, do you think is it possible only through independence to get authentically festival like yours, or there's some other things you can do? I'm trying to find what is the closest to your festival in Europe? What model is the closest for you? So do you have some let's say brother festivals which are similar to you? You cooperate during the year, or do you travel to other festivals to improve your knowledge? Is it only the trance festival you follow, or other festivals as well who got different kind of music?
Yeah, so there is 2 points here. In terms of learning, we are constantly learning, and we have a program in our team that everybody from the core team needs to go at least to 5 festivals a year. I did last year, I think 12, all kinds,
12.
To learn and to see. And but everybody from the core team really needs to go everywhere, and then everybody fills in a report, and then we do brainstormings, and then we try to integrate what we like. and we signal what we don't like to try to avoid and learn from others. But for sure, learning from others, different kinds of festivals, all sorts. I mean, we don't go much to trance festivals. We do, of
But
course.
they're mainly music festivals.
No, we go to all kinds, like
All kinds.
Avignon Festival or theater festivals. We have like the pioneers in the
So
States.
everywhere where you think you can learn something.
Yeah, we go to psychedelic science. I mean, there is many. To Breaking Convention, many. We go, and then different parts of our crew go to different ones, and then we have
And
the
you
report.
exchange the knowledge once
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
back.
for sure.
That
We are now doing. We have a very good relationship with this festival called the Medicine Festival in the UK. That we're also going there, and they came. Six of them came to Boom. Now we're gonna go there next time. So we try to do all of these interchange for sure. In terms of model, I would say, I mean, with all the humility, it's very difficult to compare what we are doing with others in terms of few things. For sure, like in the spirit of independence, like what you guys are doing in Exit for us is a huge reference. Like the activism, the militancy, and the way to use the festival has been always for many years a big reference. Even before we becoming friends, we were always looking at what you guys were
We
doing.
met each other, even not being to each other festivals,
Yes.
knowing so much about what you were.
Yeah. So we were sister festivals on that level. We have few from the United States also, like the Lightning a Bottle or the Fusion Festival in Germany. It's people that we really like. We like what they're doing. But it's very different because even if some of these festivals are independent, it's very different to compare what festivals in Germany or in America have in terms of setup, logistics, amount of artists, companies, economy,
Culture as well.
culture, compared with what we have in Portugal. Because in Portugal we are on the periphery of Europe. We don't have a big culture, we don't have a big economy based on culture, but we have almost 400 festivals a year. But these festivals, many of them are state-owned, which means that lots of the logistics around, lots of the technical equipment around, lots of the artists are basically moving. So it's very difficult for us to have like a strong ecosystem on doing this. So the costs are higher, logistically speaking are very different because also we are inland in Portugal, we are not near Lisbon or Porto. And this is always pose a bigger challenge in terms of maintaining independency and financial stability. But on the other side, the fact that we are remote, the fact that we are in a periphery of Europe, the fact that at the same time we are in the entrance of Europe for people coming from the States, from Brazil, from others, that we are close to Africa and others, strategically speaking, it's also an advantage point. So one of the main topics and the very core of it, in conclusion, is the audience, the public. The public is what allows us to be independent because it's 45,000 people from 160 countries coming to Boom, supporting us with their tickets without any lineup is because we have been doing something great for them, but also they pose a lot of trust on us. And this is something that we can never let down.
That's so impressive, man. Let's speak about sustainability and ecology because I saw that it's super important part of what you do and everything what you do there is dedicated to that. So it's like, you know, what does it really take to run an environmental responsible festival for tens of thousands of people? So one thing is when you do the hundreds of people, but this is tens of thousands of people. And let's speak about like everything what you do, including toilets and which are compost. Like it's really deep involvement in ecological and sustainability. So could you please tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, many people look at sustainability, and fortunately now in events things are growing, but they look at sustainability as single measures. Now we're going to reuse the cups, or we do some recycling, or we're going to do battery generators. I mean, our concept is looking at sustainability first on a long-term perspective, because nature is long-term, and at the same time looking at it on a perspective of natural systems. We come from the background of permaculture. This is what is the root cause of what we are doing in terms of sustainability. So we tend to look at the land, at the festival, and try to bring in some projects based on some dimensions that we are inspired emulating the natural system. So for instance, when we talk about boom, we look at boom, and when we put the lens of environment, we look at boom, but we start to see different dimensions. First, we look at a paradigm that we have, and this paradigm has different dimensions. For instance, water. What are we doing with our water? For instance, we need to preserve our water sources, and we need to treat our water. And especially in the case, as you know, in that place, even if we have a lake, that place is very drought, it's very dry, there is years and years of drought. So we have developed 2 water treatment systems that we have. For instance, one of them can treat 7 million liters of water, and then we reintroduce this water for irrigation and for regeneration and reforestation. Another point that we look at this environmental approach is, for instance, with the sanitation. We have compost toilets without sawdust. We developed our own technology, and this makes that the sanitation is clean, is biological, and with that we can turn this into compost, and the compost makes the land better because we create gardens. And on and on and on, going into this, we have 13 variables.
I need to ask one question, because like I saw the same compost toilets like at Burning Man Festival this year, a little bit different at the Glastonbury, but they're all full until the top and dirty. How you manage to have a clean ones? Like literally, you even had that string with the rope. When you open the door, it's closing the seat. And like,
yeah, I mean, the 2 parts. One is, of course, the cleaning method, but we have developed a system on the behind. I mean, because the compost toilet, the system we use, is based on the microorganisms, bacteria, and fungus. And basically, what we need to do is they need to eat very fast the organic matter. The faster they eat, the less volume you have, and then the more cleaning you have, because this turns into compost. It's quite of an interesting thing to develop in a festival, which is like this science-based compost toilet that normally people regard to compost toilets as a kind of a hippie, freaky kind of thing, but I think this is a really advantage for everyone to have, because it saves lots of water and creates soil, and this is something that even in buildings, people should start to have. And in France, actually, there is already some technologies using that. And I was saying that in terms of the sustainability, we always should look at the way the festival goes with all these lenses, where nature is a central part of it, and looking at not only measures of behavior like the recycling or others, but in which way the festival can develop technologies, ecological technologies, to make a positive impact in the world. And especially speaking, when we have 165 countries represented, we know that we have a huge impact, but we also know that we can mitigate and make it better. For instance, this year we are supporting an organization that are recovering the ocean seagrass meadows. Imagine like these pastures under the sea that you have in the Atlantic. It's called the blue carbon. So we are using some funds from the festival to support the maintenance of these seawater meadows, because this can capture a lot of carbon. And this is basically what we are trying to do, is to make a festival with a positive impact and looking at nature as a key solution for what we want to do for the people. And as you can see, you see lots of gardens and others. This is something that we've been doing from scratch since 2010 when we arrived to this land.
Wow, amazing, really impressive art as well. Well, like, Boom is not just green, it's also deeply cultural and artist universe. And let's speak a little bit about the culture and what you guys are doing there. So Boom is a fusion of art, music, spirituality, and transformation. How do you curate content aligned with those values? And what is the secret to maintain community energy among people of 165 countries? Do you do like some crossover of different cultures? Because having 165 countries, do you bring some of the culture from those 165 countries into the homeland and your festival?
Yeah. It's a very important question, which is how can we unify 165 countries with different sensibilities, different tastes, sometimes different music, different scales of music, and at the same time, in some countries clash with each other. So we need to make sure that we create a valid and coherent proposal, cultural proposal, and artistic proposal that can resonate with everyone. What we do is every edition we have a theme. This theme needs to reflect what is the zeitgeist, as I said. And from that on, we invite different curators. We have a core team of curators, but we change every edition so that we have different people from all over the world to tell us what is going on that side. We have always somebody from...
So they are your eyes and ears.
We have eyes and ears in the front lines and in different generations so that we can acquire all this sensibility and then digest it and present into Boom. All of the people that work with us, we have divided the content in different parts. So we have the music part, and the music part we have 4 main stages from psytrance, electronic, and world music. We have then the cultural part, and the cultural part has a dance stage with dance shows. We have the cultural center with workshops and lectures and discussion panels. And then we also have another part, which is the spiritual part, the spiritual program, where we have therapies, healers, people that are more into the well-being, yoga, meditation, ecstatic dance, and others. And finally, we have the 2 other programs. The social program with social/ecological program with the workshops and the offer that we provide for the people there. And then the art installation, art and architecture program, where we create specific and site-specific artworks and large-scale architecture to be at the Boomland. So it's all these layers.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
I think we should tell the audience, like at the Boom Festival, you have a huge sculptures which are like 30 meters tall and lots of other old ones put on different positions.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, like a Disneyland, but on a cool way, like with lots of cool stuff. And
Yeah.
knowing that you work with Daniel Popper, I was first time this year at the Boom Festival when I saw the sculpture, and I asked you what happened with the old sculpture, because the old one was also beautiful,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you
yeah.
have it. But
Yeah.
you said it was made from plywood, and because of the winter and summer, eventually, after many years, need to be replaced.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
this
yeah.
one is built from different materials.
Yeah. It's a mix of different materials, and but it's going to be more solid, and this is going to be for the future. It's a permanent one.
But it's so beautiful. Can you tell us what it represents? Because it's 3 girls dancing.
Yeah, it's the dancers, because last edition the team, this is a great example, because the team was the ritual of dance, and then we create a creative briefing to all the artists. What is the purpose of the team? What is the message we want to generate? In which way we want people to feel around the artwork, and what is the main takeaways we want people to take home after they were at Boom and with that artwork. So that's kind of the briefing basis. And then Daniel Popper generated this concept that when the ritual of dance was, we started to talk many years ago about it, and then actually it was around the time there was this terrorist attack in the psychedelic trance party in the Middle East.
Parallel.
Yeah, and that was, he got also this thing, which, I mean, I don't want to go into politics because that region we know that is very complicated, but there was some people dancing in a party, and he got also this vision that it should be interesting to show that unity is very important among all peoples, besides religions, above politicians, above everything, and then merging this with the ritual of dance, he came up with these 3 female figured dance format, where it's really about the sensibility of the female in all of the humans together to dance, honoring our connection with something higher than us, that is the universe. And that's why also, besides the picture, he has some yantras and some Indian mystic signs on the basis of it.
Amazing. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, let's go a little bit to ideas, experiments, failures. So the question is like, how you do like innovation? How you know that something will succeed, or like how you judge like is it right time to implement some idea, or it need to wait for the next edition to be implemented? How you know, like how you save yourself from the failures of doing it like for the first time, because we all know it's a challenge,
Yeah,
and we don't know is it going to succeed until we try to do it.
Yeah, mistakes are important to evolve.
I think with mistakes, that's how we learn.
Yeah, exactly. So we are a very organization that we are okay with mistakes. We never point fingers.
That's super important.
Yeah, on the teams.
So no blaming game.
No, never. And especially we try always, especially with the young staff, to have always this safety net where the people can fail controllably, and with some mentoring where people can fail. But normally what we do is, for sure, as I said, we travel a lot. We try to see others. We have constant observatorium of trends and things everywhere so that we can try to monitor what's going on. And then we apply lots of techniques with the team so that they develop two main things. One, of course, is the user experience. And then the second is we apply a lot of workshops based on design thinking, which means that our team is constantly playing about solutions to make the festival better and to make the festival more appealing and more comfortable for the people coming in. So that's the way we do it. So we have now, we follow a model called the Dragon Dreaming that I would suggest everyone to develop in their teams, which is a social technology developed in Australia, where they were looking to organizations, social and corporations, and trying to figure out what was the key aspects of their success. And these guys in Australia, they found that they were also studying at the same time the Aboriginal tribes of the Western Australia. And they saw that there was some commonalities between the natives and the organizations of humans working on the system. And they developed this system where you have a 4-stage process: the dreaming, the doing, the planning, and then the celebrating, which means that every project should have these 4 stages of the process. They are complementary. First you dream, and then you plan, and then you do, and then you celebrate. When we celebrate, sometimes it's a debrief, it's acknowledging the work with the others. And they started to study this in many organizations, and they saw if one of these stages was not properly achieved, the success would not be well, and it will not create well-being among the people that were developing the project. So we do a lot of that. So there is a stage of the dreaming, the stage of the plan, the doing, and the celebrating. And this is something that we are very strict, and this is a key element for our innovation and success.
I understand. But also, like from the cultural part, there's like a programming and like choosing music for your festival. How it go? Like, can you explain us a little bit to understand? Is there like a booking team or selection or how? Because what I saw, it is Psytrance Festival, but also there's like a Richie Hawtin playing this year, but he didn't do classical set, so he didn't do what he usually do, and he stayed there a couple of days, which is the first time I see him, bumping with him like from time to time. So how you do the whole process in 1 year of selecting your program, and how often your artists are repeating? So if you do once in 2 years, is it more comfortable to repeat the same artist, or what is the percentage of new ones and actually old ones, and how you choose the headlining artists?
We have the process goes like we have a moment of ideation and research, which is pretty much from the end of each boom until the next summer. So we are in this process.
Next summer or next boom?
Until the following summer of boom. So in between booms, right in between booms. So we have 1 year of research. This year of research means that we will signal some of the most important artists for us for the coming edition, and we start to develop some conversations with some of them, especially the ones that they are not from the Psytrance world, not only on music. People like theater companies, art installation guys, people from the yoga or the movement. So we try to signal them, and the strategy always try to talk with them in person. Sometimes we do some travels, we talk with them to tell them about Boom, and to try to bring them to experience what we are doing, and also to show them that we are not here to focus on the name, we want the content. Because the name, anyway, we're not going to sell, because Boom is not about lineups selling tickets, it's about the concept. And for the many of them, they are very surprised with this. Richiotin was one of them, and he was like, wow. And when we could finalize the deal with him, he was very kind, because he's living in Lisbon, and he said that was for him very important, because he was feeling that he needed to hijack his soul in more festivals, because many of the festivals, not like you guys in X, but many of festivals are being sold to big companies.
Yes.
And he was feeling that the essence was getting a bit lost. And so our team researched.
That's so important what you mentioned,
Yeah.
because that's the time we are living at the moment now.
Yeah, exactly. And so we do research, and then we have the curators and bookers, and we have the curators and bookers. For instance, we have the curators only for the well-being and the spiritual program. We have the people from the music, and we have the people from the culture, and we have the people from the arts. So we have the 4 different teams of curators that they deal with each one of them. The yoga, we have people, for instance, we have a therapist and a yoga teacher that they also doing part of the booking team. So they talk with the yoga teachers, the meditation facilitators, and the therapists. It's these people talking with them. And what we do also is, before we start the formal moment of booking, we gather together for a big meeting, all the curators and all the programmers and the bookers, normally 1 year before the festival, so that we have outlines of the actions and the axes of a program for the coming edition. And we always leave around 30 to 40% of the program for the people that apply.
Mm-hmm.
So we have participation.
So actually artists can apply.
Yeah. 40%, normally 30 to 40% of the people come from the application forms. In some areas, like in the cultural one, around 60 to 70% comes from the application forms. But in the overall, we allocate these so that we maintain a big portion of the festival coming from the audience itself. So people can apply if they are artists, DJs, musicians, healers, performers, meditation facilitators, painters, whatever. Everybody can apply, and the different teams of curators, they will evaluate these, and then they will tell us which are the ones that can be part of the official program or not.
That's great,
Yeah.
because they can also learn through that application.
Yeah.
So even if they are not playing, they will get some response saying, like, we're looking for this or that. And
Yeah.
it's most important festival have a communication with artists who want to apply and play at the Boom Festival.
Yeah, exactly.
But also it's super specific, because it's like psychedelic culture over there. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Because like psychedelic culture is not like other cultures, and it's taking also some kind of risks. And with the audience, like being so deep in it, you're quite safe festival. On the way, like having 45,000 people and everyone looking about each other and taking care of each other. That's really unique, because if you go to some other festivals abroad, you know, they're okay with each other, but not on this way. This is more like a family, literally like your mother taking care of you. How you manage to have that, and I really like that part of the festival.
Yeah, I think that's coming from the very core essence of the psychedelic culture, which means psychedelic as a mind expansion, if we want to be theoretical about it. But basically, how it can translate is we need to take care, if we want to expand our consciousness in whatever way. People do plant medicine, others do substances, others do yoga, other meditation, other sports, whatever. Others do holotropic breathing. It depends. The thing is, in the way that we can expand our normal boundaries to think and to sense and to have some different kinds of awakening, we need to respect about our boundaries, but also at the same time to take care about one another. And that's what we try to do in the festival, with a lot of support services that we have there. But especially it's something that is at the very core essence of the psychedelic trance community, to create an immersive environment where everybody is safe, where everybody can just expand their sensibility into different realms, where the dance floor is not a place for fear, but is a place for basically being together as one, where you develop a sense of spirituality or transcendence or whatever you want to call it, but especially is in which way can we go beyond our formal self and to dissolute our ego and to connect with something higher than just being a guy from one country or a girl from another culture. What we want to create is to have this sense of ego dissolution so that we awaken our universal self, where music is a very fundamental part. And again, if you are in a community, if you are in a beautiful natural setting, and if you have incredible artwork around you, you can really ignite something magic in your perceptive system. And that's what we try to do in the festival.
You're unbelievable. That's really working well at the Boom. And I was really impressed what I saw there. So, let's speak a little bit about crisis, risk, leadership, what you have there, because you are challenging with lots of stuff. And I want to hear from you, what is the biggest challenge you have, but also biggest fuck up you had. And, there was I don't know, last time when we spoke, you had a huge fire and a kitchen was burned over there. That wasn't during the festival, but it was huge loss and asking for lots of investment in it. But I want to have some insights from you, what is the biggest risk you had and what you learned from some of those experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to make a festival like Boom, we need to understand that it's always going to be challenging because you are talking about an event that is in the middle of nowhere, and with this sense that we are also talking about a psychedelic event. And the psychedelic event means that people expand their boundaries. And when I say expand the boundaries, it's not about substances. It's about really try to question who we are and try to be in a position where we question all the conditioning that we have been part of in our culture. And so if we are not prepared, if we don't have a proper toolkit to integrate all of these, it's not easy. In being a festival that is independent always poses a lot of issues. For instance, when we are alternative, independent, we have a proposal that is a bit radical to mainstream events. So we know that we're going to have backlashes from conservative politicians, conservative media, people that look at us with disrespect and disregard.
And different eyes, completely.
And different eyes.
Prediction,
I mean, people,
judging.
Judging, we are the outcasts or the hippies, or they don't give...
Since day one.
Yeah, that's good, that's fine. But they think that it's not possible for alternative people. And this is something in the hip-hop, in the pop, in the metal, it's in the punk thing, the squat, everywhere. They always, people that are on the fringes of society, they are disregarded by mainstream culture. And in our case, they never understand, some of them, why this festival happens, how this festival happens. They think that maybe we have some crazy other businesses going on. And this is sometimes what is really difficult to face, which is big prejudice against what we are doing. And this is something that sometimes for the people and for our team is really complicated. This edition especially, because of the situation of the Middle East and because we have people from all over the world, and the festivals, every festival, many festivals had this situation, we were also part of some people trying to boycott Boom because we have some people from Israel, but we have people from all over the world, and we cannot prevent people to access the event. So this is another thing that we were dealing with, but it's part of doing a festival like Boom, which is, it's a radical format. And for radical formats, we need to be strong. And sometimes we need to be a bit more warriors than just facilitators.
That's so true. Also, I want to see, how is Boom important for local neighborhood and let's say, with local authorities, communities? How do they see it welcomed? Because you're on that venue since 2010 when you bought it. And since then, did you develop some kind of relationship with the region? Because you have lots of people coming from so many countries, and what the neighbors saying about it, what the authorities saying about it.
Yeah. I can answer following up my previous answer, which is, we know that we have a big portion of society that is not pro-Boom. We know that. And in which way the system works, unfortunately, the system works only with numbers, economics, metrics. So we try as much as possible to try to find always metrics to legitimize our actions. So what we do is every edition we hire a well-renowned university in Portugal, and they do an economic study of boom, and this economic study gives some outputs, and these outputs basically we send to media, we show to the politicians, we show to the anti-sect of boom, we show these metrics. And this has been an incredible bulletproof against some of the situations. In these metrics, it's very evident that, for instance, the economic impact that boom has in Portugal is almost 80 million euros, which is something huge. Only in tourism in the region of boom is almost 2,000 sleeps, 2,000 nights of sleeping in just the tiny village where we are. It's almost 60,000 sleeps in the district where boom is happening. The perception that the locals have for boom is fantastic, because we also have, by our sustainability practices, we privilege the local economies and the local suppliers. So 80% of our suppliers always come from the region around boom. And this creates economy, this makes the festival going, and we always hire a lot of people from the region. So around 60% of the short-term workers always also come from the region around boom.
I think that's important, because they have families and everyone.
Exactly.
So when they see them working at your festival, then it's fine.
Yeah, no, it's fine. And sometimes we have the grandmother, the father, and the kid working there. It's super nice. And they also become alternative, and they change their outfits.
That's great.
And their lifestyle. And this is something really, really interesting for us to see. Another point that is quite important is that the economic impact, sometimes it's really important, this metric that we always try to gather, because the people that are against boom are against a specific kind of lifestyle. Because they think, you see the people, the music people, or the people with rastas or piercing or whatever, the music people. For some people, they don't like these festival goers that are a bit crazy. And we always make a proper demographic study and the level of literacy of people, so that we can show them that. And it's quite interesting, because in the last one, 73% of the audience of boom, they have the tertiary education, which means either university or a master's or a PhD. So 73%. And this is something that the journalists, when they saw this, they were like, wow, this is an incredible figure. But it's always like that. So just to wrap it up, basically the thing here is try to create some tools to counterbalance the prejudice against us.
That's so interesting. Also, let's do 1 minute talk only about a future of the festivals. How you see the future of the festival and landscape in 20 years, and just what you will say, and if there's one thing you would like to change, what that will be in the global festival world.
You're talking about globally?
Yes, globally. Because we are living quite difficult time now. You have big corporation buying festival, then dropping them off and running away from them, because they realize they have a huge loss, because it's not just in the Excel sheet and money going to your account. They
don't understand the culture.
They actually realize they need to work a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I see that we are in a big mutation process. The corporatization of festivals is strong in Europe, but is also strong everywhere else in the world. But I do see that corporations will carry on, one, taking over festivals, and others to put more sponsoring on the festivals. So this is something that is happening and will happen. But what will create is, I think for the people, is a bigger interest on festivals that are more independent, because they will maintain the purpose and the mission strong. If these festivals can survive is another topic, because financially speaking, it's a challenge. I think in Europe we will all face big challenges with the changes of politics, that's for sure. But we, in terms of festival culture, we also see another thing, which is Asia is getting stronger and stronger. More people are into becoming festival consumers or festival people. And the guys, for instance, in Thailand and in other countries like Indonesia, but also in Brazil, the governments, they are using festivals as a big differentiation factor. So you see Tomorrowland being paid by the officials in Thailand. You see in Indonesia they are getting into these big clubs and these big brands trying to bring them in. Brazil, for sure, all these big brands, they are going into Brazil to develop their strategy in the American continent, especially in the South America. So festivals will become strong aspects of cultural dissemination, that's for sure. The main challenges I face also is like there is this debate nowadays going on, which I find really silly, that the festivals are the ones to blame because club culture is going down. I think this is really ridiculous because festivals and club culture, they act together. But this is a debate going on, I don't know why, but I don't see why they are allies. They have always been allies, they will keep on being allies. And the need for smaller scale festivals and spin-offs of big festivals, I think this is going to go a lot big time, that's for sure.
Nice. And we don't have much time, but like I would like to ask for the last couple of questions is how has Boom changed you personally over the years? And what keep you grounded during the most chaotic moments? And also, what message you would like to give your younger self at the first Boom?
My younger self at the first Boom was dancing 3 days in a row, non-stop.
Yeah, but like what you will say to
Yeah.
yourself
No, I would
from
say,
this perspective?
I would say that try to
Dance 4 days,
yeah,
not 3.
push him out of the push him out of the dance floor, and telling him to the passion is there, and in the future you can give back some of what you're getting at the moment. Because back then, I mean, we were working and partying; it was different. But I would say I changed a lot as a person because Boom, for sure, changed my life. But it was always very present to me since I was like a teenager that I wanted to work in music, and I wanted to work with music for social and individual and spiritual change. That was very clear for me from day one. And that's why I went to study social psychology using music and working with hip-hop artists and other people in the townships, suburbs of Portugal, using African music to make projects for innovation in the social sphere. And with the Psytrance and Goa trance culture, but with the Psytrance culture, I got all of these, like social change, the spiritual change, the work with nature, the whole communal aspect. And this is really important because it changed me, but everybody that is in our team come from that part as well. We always say that the ones that can stay longer in the Boom team are the people from the dance floor, because they are the ones that have the empathy towards the people that comes to us, that they like to be in the nature, that in the tough times they know what is the mission. And this is quite important, not only to talk to my young self, but to talk also with the young people that passion is very important if they want to do festivals. That's very important.
Amazing. Artu, thank you for being here with us today, and thank you for sharing this story. It's really inspiring, even for me who are all life in this industry. And like you said, we are still learning. We are still learning, even we know so much, but like it's still inspiring to learn something new. And I think what you do with your festival is like bigger than like anything else I saw in Europe, like cultural-wise, been done. And I'm a huge fan of your work. So can I have applause for Artu being here today?
Thank you.